Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whichever time zone you're in. It's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to see so many of you here already. And, as you know, this is the weekly astrological forecast. And I'm kind of thinking, because I do the daily astrobites currently, that you kind of know what's going on, or you will do through the week. I mean, I can touch on that a bit. Let me know in the chat. But I thought it might be rather interesting, especially this week and next week, to focus on this rather important conjunction we've got coming up between Mars, our planet of energy, action, assertion, our god of war, and Uranus, the planet of surprise, of the unexpected, the planet that can bring not only literal earthquakes, but political and financial earthquakes. So, what do you say? This is what I'm going to have a look at today, because I've had one or two people have contacted me privately and said that they are very concerned about the way politics are going, not just in the United States, but in the world in general. And a lot of people, I think, are suffering from anxiety and fear about what is going to unfold. First of all, let's dispel the fear. Yes, we have this big major conjunction next week. It's on Monday, the 15th of July. Mars will be conjunct Uranus in Taurus, conjunct the fixed star Algol. Now, you've heard me talk about Algol before. Algol represents losing one's head, whether that's metaphorically or symbolically or literally, we won't know. But the energy building up to this particular conjunction, it's because it's at 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, Algol has been at 26 degrees Taurus for a long, long time and will be for a lot longer as well. So that is the significance of this particular conjunction between Mars and Uranus. It's conjunct at 26 degrees Taurus. Now, if some of you know what planets you have, if any, in Taurus or Leo or Scorpio or Aquarius, because they are the fixed signs at 26 degrees, and really it needs to be a very personal planet, like your sun or your moon or your rising sign, then listen to this video and listen to the one I'm going to do on the 15th, because this could have some impact on what happens for you in your life. But first of all, I want to dispel feelings of fear and anxiety. Remember, these astrological energies are neutral. We have collectively over the ages assigned certain qualities and events to particular cosmic bodies. Algol has this bad press about being present when leaders maybe literally lose their heads or metaphorically lose their heads. And Algol is associated with the goddess Medusa, who, of course, was the goddess that Perseus slay and went round with her head in a bag. And one look from the face of Medusa, even once it had been cut off from her body, would turn you to stone. And she had all the serpents coming out of her head. So, right. I'm just having a quick glance at the chat, and I'm seeing, yes, some of you are unsettled with everything, and some of you are under a heat dome, I believe, in the United States. Here in Gozo and Malta, we have Mount Etna in Sicily, which is 60 miles north of me, and another smaller volcano, Stromboli, currently erupting. So we too have a kind of smoke and dust haze hovering over us, which of course is making things and the weather feel a bit close and warm and humid. So what I thought I would do today is just dispel some of the fears. I'm not saying that it won't be significant, this particular conjunction, but the importance of talking about it today is that over this next week, we are forewarned. We are forearmed. We have the necessary knowledge to equip us to cope with the energies that could unfold over the next couple of weeks or so. So let's kind of break this down into easy bites, like my daily Astro Bites. So glad you're liking them. They're great fun. And I can kind of batch bake or batch record, batch cook. So I'm doing that, and I'm just checking on the chat. Alabaster Blues, you're saying it'll square your nodes. It's a dress, thank you, goes all the way down, but thank you. And it's hot in the PN Pacific Northwest. Okay, Lady Anne, that's horrible. Okay, right, let's get on with business, because first of all, if you saw the post I put on YouTube today, I talked about the Statue of Liberty, and I talked about us, or America, and I think the rest of the world, facing a dark night of the soul. We're facing the shadow side of our very selves. So let's think about what this means. I looked up just to see what the Statue of Liberty symbolizes, because maybe in America you'd like to be reminded of what it stands for. It stands for freedom and liberty, and it represents the core American values of freedom and the protection of individual rights. It stands for democracy, and it was a gift from France, interestingly, having their elections today, very much moving to the far right. And it was a gift from France to the United States, and it celebrates the democratic principles shared at that time by both nations. It also stands for hope and opportunity. And for millions of immigrants arriving in America, the statue served as a beacon of hope and the promise of a better life. It is quite a good idea to remind ourselves of these core values and friendship. The Statue of Liberty symbolizes the enduring friendship between the United States and France, commemorating their alliance during the American Revolution. And remember, America is having its Pluto return. And finally, the other thing it stands for is the abolition of slavery. The broken shackles at the feet of the statue signify the end of slavery and the pursuit of freedom for all people. Is that what you see unfolding in the United States of America? Let me know in the chat. Thank you, Simi. It's turquoise. It was a gift for my birthday. Thank you very much. The world, yes, Andy, is exactly where it's supposed to be. Volatility, this is Andy saying this, is terrifying right now, mainly because we've had such a rough go over the last few years. We've been rattled and worn down. This is so true. Now, I thought it might be interesting to look at, because it might help us to understand how this energy may play out by looking at 3 specific astrological charts. I thought I would look at how the Mars-Uranus conjunction would affect Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and a rank outsider maybe, or maybe not, John F. Kennedy Jr. I was asked by a client to check that one out. So before I start that, I just want to tell you in general about the week ahead, because it is a little bit like the calm before the storm. Okay, now Hennet Bulker is saying it's very confusing times at the moment. And yes, Lady Anne, change and changes are never easy. Good morning, Maggie. So it is difficult times. And we have to, yes, Andy, roll with the punches. If our bank accounts can manage it, absolutely. I really understand that. And remember, this conjunction is in Taurus. So it's also about the economy. Now, as you know, we've just had an election in the United Kingdom. I don't live in the United Kingdom, but I do have a British passport. So basically, I'm a citizen or an expat of the United Kingdom. And it's gone Labour, which was not a surprise. Labour is akin to Republicans. To Democrats. So Labour is like Democrats, and conservatism here in the UK is like Republicans. I think I've got that right. If not, someone will tell me, yeah, it was a landslide, absolute wipeout. And it was much needed change. I mean, the thing is, this is just a different group of people with the same set of problems. But maybe they will bring in a new set of thoughts and ideas of how to deal with the current problems. We can but hope. And I noticed on Friday, which was, of course, the new moon in Cancer, the foreign the foreign exchange, the money markets and the stock markets were responding in London favorably to the change of government. So that is quite good. So I'm just seeing what Deborah Cook is saying here. The energy in the US is exactly opposite of everything the Statue of Liberty stands for at the moment. That's why I thought it would be worth mentioning it. But let me move on, because I'm going to go into this again. Excuse me. Oh, we have all this dust, as I said, from the volcanoes. And even though all my windows are closed, it finds a way in. So excuse me while I just have some water. Oh, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about what happened last time Mars and Uranus were conjunct 84 years ago at 26 degrees of Taurus. This conjunction marked a period of significant political, social, global, and changes in the health departments. So I just put that on our table. Interestingly, when Mars was last conjunct Uranus in Taurus, not at 26 degrees, it was on January the 20th, 2021, and we saw President Joe Biden inaugurated. So I just put that also on the table. Right, let's have a look at a couple of charts, because they are interesting. And I think, I'm hoping that by looking at these charts, all I can do is interpret the astrological energies for these people that I'm going to look at. And you will have to ascertain how this may play out on the world stage. What I do want to say, and I'm just seeing somebody says, as a native New Yorker, you were feeling shackled due to fear of being mugged in certain areas which were always safe. Yes, I appreciate that, Maria. I lived in Manhattan in 1979, 1980. I was there for a year, and I was working in the money markets. I don't know how that happened because I haven't a clue. Anyway, another long story. But I remember, keep your eyes focused straight ahead, get from A to B very quickly, don't make eye contact with anyone. That's how I lived in Manhattan. But I think it was probably safer then than it is now. Let's have a look at where this conjunction falls in the chart of Donald Trump, because he is clearly a key player in what is happening on the world stage currently. Now, you've probably heard other astrologers talk about his chart and where this conjunction falls, and I'll explain it from my perspective. So with Donald Trump, the conjunction falls on what we call his midheaven, and this is Taurus. Now, the midheaven, so this is where the star Algol sits in his chart. Algol, remember, is a very powerful and malevolent star, and it does bring change. What I would like to say, and I want to remain as neutral as possible, is sometimes people have to come to this incarnation to change things in ways nobody feels comfortable with. Now, I'm not saying that is what is going to happen. I'm just saying that sometimes people have a karmic role, which is quite difficult for the collective to handle, because we are seeing things from our perspective and with tunnel vision. And what we have to do is get what is known as eagle sight and fly up above all of this huge stage where these dramas are being played out, and get eagle sight and be the observer on what is happening. So what can I say about this conjunction for Mr. Trump? Well, it also squares his ascendant, which means it also squares his natal Mars. I believe that around this time and going over the next week, 2 weeks, he may be feeling quite angry. I mean, he's an angry man, clearly, but more angry than normal, and angry about certain injustices. And these may be injustices to him. There may be comments that come out being critical of him that will really upset the man. And because it's squaring his Mars, he really needs to watch his health. I have thought, and I have said for some time, and I'm not sure if I actually said it in a video, I might have said it privately in client sessions, I can't remember. But my sense is Mr. Trump really has to watch his health, because there is a danger, from what I pick up in his chart, of him, I don't see it as a heart attack, I see it as a stroke. And it's as if his blood boils to such a peak that his blood pressure goes through the roof. And this could be because of events that are unfolding around him that are out of his control. And some of them I feel are completely unpredictable. So this is what I pick up from his chart. In general, there is a lot of energy around him which gives him a kind of upper hand with the ideas and plans that he's got. It doesn't necessarily mean they will succeed, but there is a lot to suggest he could do very well. Also, we have to remember there is an incredibly significant full moon on the 21st of July, where the full moon will be at 29 degrees of Capricorn, conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Pluto is retrograde, so we have a full moon. Now for Mr. Trump, it's in his 5th house. This is to do with friendships, allies. Sometimes it can be close relationships. It can be to do with children. But there is something coming to an abrupt ending that transforms his whole situation at that time. So I think we just have to be mindful of this energy for him. And that's an interesting thought, Maggie. You think that America and Canada will join together? I don't know. What does anyone else think? So what I'm saying with Mr. Trump is, yes, I think this conjunction will affect him. But as I said with these energies, it's about being forewarned. Now, if, for instance, one of his, I don't know, PR people or whatever, marketing people is watching this video, they might think, oh, maybe we better have an astrology reading and just make sure he handles this in the right way. Because if he had an astrologer, the astrologer might say to him, listen, over the next 2 weeks, keep your cool. Go and play some golf. Don't get embroiled in anything that is too kind of challenging. Mind your health. Take time out. Rest and relax. That way, he uses the energy in a constructive way to build himself energetically, Mars, into something that he aspires to be. Because where this conjunction happens is where he is seen on the world stage. It's his public image. It's how we experience him. I'm not sure that his Gemini and Leo ascendant, his Gemini energy, his Gemini sun, and his Leo ascendant energy will be able to hold him back from doing that. Because interestingly, his Leo ascendant is at the late degrees of Leo. It's at 29 degrees and 55. What this tells me is that a lot of what goes on for him is very well thought through, because it makes Virgo most of his 1st house. This is how he thinks. This is how he comes across to the world. He pays attention to details. He doesn't let any stone go unturned. He actually is quite smart on many levels. He is a wheeler dealer. He's a chancer. But he has a way of somehow winning through. Now, that is one take on this chart. Now, if he is not aware of any of this at all, which he may not be, then there are all sorts of things that can happen. It can be a political earthquake. Something happens that is completely unexpected that throws him absolutely off course. So that's what I want to say about Donald Trump's chart. And I'm just seeing Maggie saying you have food stashed away for 2 or 3 months just in case. Yeah, okay. I understand your concerns, because I think that, you know, this kind of energy was around before 9/11. And I think all of us feel a sense of energies building, which are a little bit weird. They're the unknown. They're out of our control. We're not quite sure how to manage them. Yes, Cosmic BL, peace will not be reached from fear and anger. That's absolutely right. And that is why we have to sit back. We have to actually, as I said, be the observer. Let this play out. Let's see how it unfolds. It's not our job to get involved in this particular drama. But I do want to just mention how this may play out in our own lives. Now, for example, I have this conjunct my sun, my natal sun in Taurus. So one of the things I will be mindful of over the next couple of weeks would actually be physical accidents, because Taurus can be the body. It's a very physical sign. Also, it's earth, it's fixed. So it's telling me to be flexible. And there's a clue there to word of the week. And it's asking me to be the observer, not to get too hot under the collar about things that may annoy me or upset me. It could also bring things in, because it's in my 10th, 11th house. So it could also bring very unexpected events in that could be quite life-changing in terms of the areas of my life which are to do with what I'm doing now, my career, and with being out there talking to the public. So we will have to see. Okay, Andy, you've got Chiron in Taurus, from victim to empowerment. I like that. I like that very much. Absolutely, Cosmic BL. Andy Walsh, carrying a gun and fear actually brings on the exact thing you are hoping to escape. That is such an important comment. Please be mindful of these things, my loves. Please, yes, be prepared, but don't go on the defensive. Yes, take necessary precautions, but you know what? Also, take a step back. Let's move on to Joe Biden and see what is actually happening for him. Because this conjunction in Taurus is actually in opposition to his Mercury, Sun, and Venus in Scorpio. Now, Joe Biden, as a Scorpio, has quite a dark side to him. And I think we're seeing that fixed energy in the way he's clinging on to power and refusing to be kicked out of the Oval Office. He doesn't want to give in. Now, this opposition that he's got from Uranus and Mars, it's opposite, it's in his 6th house, which is his day-to-day routine. So his day-to-day routine is going to be severely disrupted over the next couple of weeks. Also, it's opposite the 12th house. Now, the 12th house is about the inner us, the psyche, the soul. Also, it can be our anxieties, depression. It can be not seeing things clearly, and in this case, perhaps an inability to be able to read the signs, to raise our consciousness up to that higher level, to see things clearly. His moon is in Taurus and his ascendant is Sagittarius. The Sagittarius ascendant gives him flexibility, and he does demand the truth. And I think we probably see that in the man, unless I don't know him at all, which in one respect, of course, I don't. I'm just interpreting his chart. He does have transiting Jupiter conjunct his natal Saturn in his 7th house of relationships. I think he's trying to gallop ahead of where he needs to be. And then we need to look for where Saturn is. Saturn is showing a change of residence. That's all I'm going to say. It's showing a change of residence. Not now, but later in the year. Probably in round about January, he will be moving home. And that's because Saturn is going to move into his 4th house. And that's where I'm picking that up from. So interpret that whatever way you will. And let's now have a look at The outsider that I was asked to do by a client, hi, if you're watching, I'm looking at John F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know if, I think he's standing as an independent. I personally don't know much about him because I read these charts intuitively. I haven't taken much notice and looked at his chart very deeply. He's a Sun Sagittarius. So he is very much about truth and honor. That is something that is key to him. And I would also see him as a deeply spiritual person. That doesn't necessarily mean religious. It means he embraces spirituality. Also, of course, he's younger. He's 64. 64. He's born in 1960. So he's 64. And this would certainly be young blood. Now, this is quite interesting. This Taurus conjunction is in his 9th house of matters at a distance. It's also the house of higher learning, of legal things, legal affairs, judgments. There is some big decision that gets made either for him or by him around this time with regards to how he wants to proceed forward. And the full moon that happens actually in his 5th house on the 21st of July, I think will bring about changes in the direction of his life. Now, as I said, I just work intuitively, and I don't know whether what I'm talking about is going to be relevant or not. What I do know is that he is going to be more vocal. And I think that as Mars moves up and goes into Gemini, and Mars goes into Gemini soon, and I'm going to have to go to my notes to find out when it goes into Gemini. And Mars goes into Gemini on the 20th of July. Now, when it goes into Gemini, it's going to be on his midheaven. He's going to be coming out with some fighting talk towards the end of this month. Real fighting talk. Because Jupiter, transiting Jupiter in his 10th house, is coming up to his Lilith. And I think in many ways he is going to be pointing out some home truths to the American people that perhaps they don't want to hear. And also this Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus is squaring his moon conjunct Chiron in Aquarius. So we've got this fixed energy. This is his 6th house. And this also is, it is about his day-to-day routine. His day-to-day routine is going to change very suddenly and quite dramatically. I can't say how it's going to change. I just know it's going to change. I do know that he's going to need more energy because of Chiron. And I don't know the feminine. I don't know the feminine in his family, wife, mother, girlfriend, children, daughters, whatever. But also there could be something going on to do with female members of his family. So I think that also this Uranus-Mars conjunction is squaring his natal Uranus. He is going to surprise us. He's got his Uranus square. So he could come out as a kind of, what I'm seeing is a horse race. And suddenly, just at the end, or just in that final furlong, we get an outsider running up the outside, and you've had the main riders in the race riding away, jockeying away, and they are running out of steam, and he screams past them over the finish line. I don't know, just a feeling or a sense. Thank you, Andy. I mean, sometimes it's going to be right, sometimes it won't be. I try and just let, those blue light beings of mine, my Orion lot, as I call them, talk through me. I am just the channel, as they say. And so, well, thank you, Andy. I hope it is. And I know you've got a lot going on in Canada as well, and I haven't been able to keep up with the live chat. But I just want to go back to my notes, because I want to talk as well about the fact that I do feel this is a dark night of the soul. And I want to talk too about the energy of this coming week, because that is one of the reasons we're here. Energies, because I've actually done all the Astro Bites for the following week. I've done up, including Saturday, all the way through to next Saturday. Thursday, things start to get interesting. The first part of the week, it's kind of like, let's pick the daisies and smell the roses. There's a few stuff going on. I waffle away in my Astro Bites. I'm really not sure what I talk about, but it's whatever comes out. So there's that going on. Friday, and we have the moon in Libra at the end of the week. So we're getting a little bit of kind of balance and harmony, but a little bit more action into events. But on Friday, we have a really important opposition between Venus in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. That is a big deal, because whenever any of these planets come up to challenge Pluto, Pluto is going to win. Pluto is taking something away from Venus in Leo. Venus, the feminine, Leo, the masculine. Venus, the lover, excuse me, the loved, the beloved. Sorry, volcanic ash. Oh, that's the other thing we might get with the Uranus Mars conjunction. We might see literal earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. We've already got them here in the Mediterranean. So, hey, what's another earthquake? I can't believe I said that. I do come out with some things sometimes. Yes, Deborah, it is a time of reckoning for the world. Do we choose to enslave others based on our personal beliefs, or do we choose to uplift others and allow individuality? I love that, Deborah Cook. I love it. That is so spot on. It's beautiful, Andy says. Love it. And whatever might leave your life this week, I'm just going to say this briefly because I talk about it in depth in the Astro Bite for Friday the 12th. But if anything seems, and I'll put it that way, seems to leave your life this week, either it's timely and it's about some kind of karmic debt or karmic repayment, or it's only leaving for a short while. It's leaving so that you fully let go. So that once you have fully let go, if it comes back, you'll see whether it really is what you wanted or not. So that energy is around at the end of the week. And then Saturday really is like the calm before the storm. Now, I just want to come briefly to what was going on 84 years ago, which was the last time Mars and Uranus were conjunct Algol at 26 degrees of Taurus. And interestingly, what happened then was Hitler rose to power, Germany invaded Poland, and It was 2 years before the attack on Pearl Harbor. And also, Einstein, that's Albert Einstein, wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt saying it may be possible to set up a nuclear chain reaction in a large mass of uranium by which vast amounts of power and large quantities of new radium-like elements would be generated. And of course, we know this led to the creation of the atom bomb. So, whoa, big stuff. Now, I'm just going to take our energies up to a higher frequency, because what I want to do is lift us out of anxiety and fear, because I'm picking just a little bit up of that now. And what I want to say is we all collectively are connected. Remember, it's not just via the internet and the web. We are connected energetically. We are like little tiny neurons in a massive kind of living being, which is our solar system. And as human-like beings, we all have an ability to be connected on a higher consciousness level with each other. And what we have to do is raise our frequency to that higher level and say, hey, I'm not entertaining this future. What I want to see in the future is people starting to talk to each other, communicate, people putting down their guns, people finding a different way of getting their point across and not causing fear and destruction and forcing the collective into fear-based control. Does that make sense? So thank you, Simi. I've just seen your message. They announced in the news a new branch of biology has been discovered to do with new forms of energy. Yeah, absolutely. Janice Fitzpatrick, sending love. Go and lift it up. Absolutely. We have to all collectively, mindfully, constantly think. Let's just take this Mars-Uranus conjunction, because that's what's coming soon. See it as a transforming energy. See it as whatever happens around this date, in this lower energy, it's the 15th of July, that date, whatever happens on the lower base energies, the kind of dark night of the soul energies, you raise your frequency up. Remember to respond to what you see in the news. Don't react. If we react, we play into the lower frequencies of fear and anxiety. What we do is stand back and we allow ourselves to be part of the higher frequency of love, intuition, seeing the bigger picture, being the observer, and knowing that the clearing that has to take place is clearing the way for new, young energy to come in. It's time for the old boy network to go. It does not serve the planet anymore. And, you know, not only can this Uranus-Mars conjunction be about that, but also I think that the whole of the governmental systems of the planet, whether it's the United States, Canada, France, Europe, the United Kingdom, the whole nature of the voting process has to change, because people are voting, but actually they're not actually being heard. Because if you have this, as they say, proportional representation and all that, you need to have, I'm voting for this one thing. I'm voting for freedom and democracy or whatever it is. Not I'm voting for this person to represent me to da-da-da-da-da-da. Do you see what I mean? Something somewhere isn't working with this system anymore. It has to change. So let me see what's being said now. Let's pray for everyone to have food and shelter. Absolutely, and all the resources one would need to operate at a high vibration. Absolutely. We all need, and actually I've heard this in quite a few videos that I've been listening to of late, and I think most of us do this now. And I think this went out in, I think there was something, is it Project 2025 or something like that? And also in the UK, it came out under the radar as a piece of news, which was advising everyone to always make sure they've got enough water and food for at least 3 days. Because of course, what they're seeing or what they're foreseeing, whether it's because they know or they don't know, is that if the internet goes down or we have satellite outages because of, for instance, massive coronal mass ejections, this could knock out our communication system like that. And then we're all living in the dark ages. No electricity, no internet, no way of knowing even what our friend is doing next door. So yes, there is a need, I think, to be mindfully kind of prudent. And I think it's common sense to just kind of, in these rather difficult times, to think about, making provision for each other and making provision for the people that are out on the streets and have no homes. There is so much that needs to change. There are enough resources for everyone on this planet. It's maybe it's the idealism I'm trying to get hold of that so many have tried to get hold of before. And I do apologize, but I think ads are popping in every now and then. I have no control over them, but I'm just saying they pop in every now and then. But hopefully you don't miss anything too relevant. Now, before I come to the word of the week, because what I'm going to do now is, hi, Ravina, good to see you. Nice to see you. What I want to do now is I want to come to the word of the week, because there's a lot more I could say about the Mars-Uranus conjunction, but let's wait till we're in the eye of the storm on Monday, July the 15th, when I'm going to do a live. So there will be no live on Sunday, July the 14th, because it's the Wimbledon final and I want to watch it. Whoever's in it, I want to watch it. There's a very cute little Spanish guy called Carlos Alcaraz, who has kind of not taken the place of, but at least given us something cute to look at. Now Rafael Nadal is no longer playing tennis. And so I couldn't possibly not watch that. And hopefully he'll be in the final. I'll have to do his chart. Anyway, I'm going to come on now to the word of the week, because I think this is actually, all week I wait to see what word of the week is going to pop in for me. And this week, the word of the week that only popped in today, all week I was going, what's it going to be? I don't know. I can't think of it. Anyway, it's flexibility. And there's something about the word flexibility, which, vamos, Carlitos, absolutely. There's something about tennis players, it's all tennis here, match point, absolutely. Oh God, surgery? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, flexibility. This comes from mutability and the mutable signs in the zodiac. And mutable signs are Gemini. They are, I've got to think in my head, Libra. They no, they're not. That's not. Oh God, I'm forgetting all my mutable signs now. Just let me go to my wheel, and yeah, Gemini, Virgo, of course, Sagittarius, and Pisces are the mutable signs. Pisces, my oceans of emotions. I haven't done any of that lately, have I? You know, check out the new moon video, because even though it's past, remember the energies that I talk about in the new moon video, which was July the 5th, carry on over the next couple of weeks, leading us up to the full moon in Capricorn on July the 21st. But let's think about flexibility, because I think that on a spiritual level, there is a great need for us to move towards feelings of flexibility, because if we're too rigid, we go into religion. If you think about it, religion has much more rigidity to it. It's much more fixed. It's my way or thy way, but it's thy way, but thy way that my God does. And flexibility, if we can have a flexibility in spirituality, then we encompass and allow to come in all of the wonderful new kind of learning that is coming in terms of the fact that science is catching up with spirituality. Science is catching up with the fact that there is much more that goes on energetically in our brain and our psyche and our consciousness that is beyond kind of normal rational explanation. That's why I'm really keen on us all raising our frequency and keeping that energy high. And really what we have to do is, let's take the American situation and the two main contenders, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. For both of them, I would want to wish them common sense, and that they show truthfulness with themselves, that they get out of the way of their egos and have complete self-honesty. That way, we may see progress. And that way, we may see one or other or both not running for some reason. Because there is no doubt that both of them have strong egos. We're seeing that with Joe Biden this week. His ego is really, really, standing in his way. I really do feel. And I just feel it's important that we give these guys positive energy to make the right decisions. Because if they love their politics, and if they love their country as much as they say they do, then can they please put their country and the people of the planet first? Before I leave you thinking about flexibility, because we all need to exercise flexibility, I just want to say, let me see what Parry's saying, because I always like your comments, Parry. Flexibility and the clarity of responsibilities as humane and sane people who are in this journey together, with learning how to get along with each other, regardless of our differences between us. Very good point. And actually, thank you for that, Parry, because that is spot on. And that is what we need to kind of energetically suggest to the world leaders. Be flexible, encompass all creeds, types, and ethnic minorities, all peoples of the earth. I'm trying to think of the right words without upsetting anyone. Can we please incorporate everyone? Every soul on earth is a being of light. Every baby dying in Gaza has a mother and a father. All three of them are beings of light. why they are going through this, these world leaders need to really seriously look at. We know it's about all the big pharmaceutical companies and, of course, the arms companies. We know that. We know that. And maybe I have to tone my my comments down, because I would hate for YouTube to take this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, take care. Join me on the 15th of July, Monday, the 15th of July, for my live week ahead, which will be a deep dive into the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus conjunct Algol. I'll tell you if it may or may not have affected me in some way. And we will also know what has unfolded in the world over the next few days. Keep flexibility in your mindfulness. Keep your vibration high. And you know what? You lot are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for being with me here. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share to your friends. And you know what? I think what I've just seen is this image has just come to me of dawn, of a dawn. That beyond all of this, once we get through all of this, the sun will rise, because it always does. The world will have been cleared of energies and situations that do not take us forward into the future in a positive and loving way. And it will all actually be okay. Because you know what? Somehow it always is in the end, isn't it? You know what I mean? Okay, guys, you are awesome. Have a wonderful week. And don't forget to catch me on my Astro Bites. And I'm going to press end stream, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now. Love you all loads. Bye. Okay. Bye.